Hi guys, so story time. A couple weeks ago, I went to Empowered 2A and Gun Owners of America's National Women's Range Day in Grapevine, Texas at Texas Gun Experience, which by the way is an amazing facility, probably the best gun range I've ever been to, the best gun store. Really, if you're in the Dallas Grapevine area, it is well worth a look. Texas Gun Experience. You probably saw some stories, some photos, videos, etc. But as I was going home from the event, I was struggling with how to adequately recap this event and do it justice. And then last week, I was in Milwaukee for a different event unrelated to guns. And I decided one day that I was going to walk a mile and do my coin laundry. I personally enjoy a walk. Miles, no big deal. And it was the middle of the day, broad daylight on a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. I was going to go walk and I was going to do laundry. So I walked to this laundromat. I've never been there before, obviously. It's a little bit set back from the sidewalk. It's hard to kind of tell what exactly is going on in the laundromat from the sidewalk. And it was also very isolated. It felt isolated because the street was not busy. I found that the streets in Milwaukee are a little less busy than the streets in LA. I assume that's because of the weather. I don't know. Maybe it was the part of town I was in. It was also a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon in the middle of the day. So whatever the reason being, it felt a little bit isolated. But I went in anyway. I had walked a mile and I was going to do my laundry. So I started my laundry. It was a small load. And there were two women in there who were passed out. They seemed to be homeless. They were passed out, I think, due to the cold, just on a bench. About 1 or 2 minutes later, a man walks in. He doesn't look homeless. He's got headphones, he's got food, and he does the once over, the twice over, the thrice over on me, the up and the down. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. And it doesn't stop. So it gets to a point where it's so overt, so obvious, so uncomfortable that I decide I'm going to wait outside for my wash to be done. So I wait outside on the sidewalk and I call a friend, I talk to a friend, and I'm kind of watching out of my peripheral vision. And I watch this man bypass all the free washers and put something right in the washer next to mine, even though a bunch were free all the way down the line, because as I said, it wasn't busy. And he continues to stare at me. Another man walks in, grabs his laundry, and they make it clear that they're talking about me. And this is literally no question. These two men are gesturing towards and talking about me. So that was uncomfortable. Then the second man leaves. The first man continues to stare at me. In fact, he walks up to the window where I'm standing on the sidewalk. There's a big window pane to the laundromat. He walks up to the window and stares out at me. Not out at the street, not out at the scenery, just at me. I've had weird experiences, but I've never had something be so overt and just constant staring. So I decide I am going to go in and get my laundry, my wash, whether it's done or not. I'm going to take it and I'm going to leave. So I thought I had timed it correctly, but I walk in and there's still 4 minutes left on the wash, but gosh darn it, I'm going to take it. So I lift up the hatch and I get out my sopping wet clothes and I try to stuff them in these very thin plastic grocery bags and I leave. It's heavy, it's wet, it's humiliating, and I walk out. And that situation, while it was odd how constant the staring was, it's far from a unique story. I have hundreds more just like it. Every woman you know has hundreds more just like it. If you're a woman watching this, you have hundreds more just like it. The thing that gets even more interesting is I get in an Uber, and my Uber driver, without any prompting from me, not knowing my beliefs, my political leanings, nothing, she starts talking about how much Milwaukee, her home, her city, has deteriorated. She starts saying they'll rob you in the middle of the day, they will kidnap you, take you to an ATM, force you to withdraw cash. She said she won't drive Uber or Lyft at night because she's afraid of being shot by a stray bullet or being hit by a runaway car, running a red light, etc. She goes on this diatribe, again, unprovoked by me, about how bad her city has gotten. By the way, Milwaukee has been run by Democrats since 1960, okay? And then at the end of this diatribe, in which I really say almost nothing, she says, and the reason for this is that the governor has let 21-year-olds conceal carry. That's the reason for all this heightened crime. So she doesn't stop to think that maybe someone who's a criminal, who's going to rob you, doesn't care to wait till he's 21, doesn't care to wait to legally conceal carry, doesn't care to wait to legally acquire a gun. None of that. It's just, oh, now 21-year-olds can conceal carry. That's what goes on in her mind as far as explaining the deterioration of her beloved home and her beloved city. And I share all this because it was a scary situation. It could have turned out so much worse, and I'm incredibly blessed. It could have not turned out so mildly. But in the moment, it was scary. And at the very best, it was incredibly frustrating because I ended up having to spend, all told, and it's a long story, about $45 to get this laundry done once I had started washing it. All for a little bit of laundry that I thought was going to take me a mile to walk there, $5 to do it, a mile to walk back. I thought that's how simple it was going to be, but because I was a woman who was being harassed by a man, it cost me many, many hours and about $45 to do this laundry, and some emotional toll of feeling really isolated and alone and threatened. And that experience really caused me to reflect upon the fact of how blessed what we did in Grapevine, Texas, early in March, with Empowered 2A, with Gun Owners of America was. We got a group of women together of all beliefs, all political beliefs, all religious beliefs, all skin colors, all experiences in terms of gun. I'm not a proficient marksman. You know, I'm relatively new to the gun world. All experience levels. We got them together and we taught them about guns. We got them comfortable with guns. We got them handling guns. We got them bonding, speaking, learning, feeling comfortable, feeling confident with guns. And that is such a blessed thing. And, you know, I have my things that I'm passionate about that I'm not budging on, and you all know that. And I would probably disagree with a lot of the women at the event, with a lot of the women watching. They would probably disagree with me on a lot of things, but guns can be the great unifier because guns are a great equalizer. Every single American has a vested interest in recognizing and honoring his God-given Second Amendment right. And every single American woman especially has an even greater vested interest because, ladies, we will always be weaker than the average man. And that's not fair, but nobody did it that way. It just is what it is. We will always be weaker than the average man. We're always going to be weaker than the average criminal. Okay, so the guns aren't the problem. The guns aren't going anywhere. They're never going to disappear. They're never going to be wholly confiscated. They're never going to go anywhere. So if the guns aren't the problem and also the guns aren't going anywhere and you're weaker than the average person, and you will be from the day that you are born to the day you die, you'll be weaker than the average man. What then are you going to do? What are you going to do to protect yourself? What are you going to do if your husband's not around? If you don't have a husband? If the police aren't around? If they're not responding, what are you going to do? Guns are the great equalizer. And getting a gun, feeling comfortable with a gun, feeling trained on a gun, feeling proficient with a gun, feeling safe with a gun, that is true female empowerment. And I know for a fact that there was more than one woman at that event who it was her first time ever handling a firearm, her first time ever shooting a gun. And I know for a fact that there was more than one woman at that event that she was an abuse survivor. She was an assault survivor. She was in a situation where she still felt like she was worried for her life and her safety and her kids, etc. There was more than one woman. And so truly, ladies, if you're on the fence about guns, or even men watching this who know and love ladies, which is most men, if you're on the fence about guns, if you think we don't need them, why do people need them, this and that and the other thing, ladies, you need them. We need them. It is all of our God-given right. But also, ladies, we need them. And we should become comfortable. We should become safe. We should become proficient. We should become owners. We should become carriers. And we should become unafraid in that way. We should be able to empower and protect ourselves. So I am just so grateful to Gun Owners of America and to Empowered 2A for letting me be part of this event. I hope to see many, many, many more. I hope to see women coming together and shooting and bonding and learning how to be safe and learning how to be better with firearms. It is just one of the greatest things in the world, and every woman has been in that situation more than once where she wishes she felt safer, and she wishes that she could have had someone there to protect her. So I'm all about women being able to protect ourselves when necessary. So thank you so much.